I'll put mute on. Right, that's good. So now I can check if anybody's watching and check to see if there are any
It'd
comments.
be dangerous if you knew what we were doing.
Right, okay. Well, all of that will be edited out in post-production because post-production is about the only thing that I can competently do in life on IT.
Lee's
So,
going into the Matrix. You can see he's got the code in front of him.
oh, I know it's
All I see is a code now.
Take the blue
it is
pill.
quite frightening that the least technically competent member of the team is the one that runs the video stream. I think it's only because I'm the one that's got a paid for Zoom channel. Right. I think it might only be us three then. I thought Martin might be dropping in, so but maybe not. And Søren is obviously dealing with half of Iceland being on fire. So
If it melts, is it still called Iceland? Is it just
yeah,
called
well,
land?
it is a little bit. It's a little bit. Well, actually, it's not misnamed because most of it is quite icy, unlike Greenland, which isn't green at all. But that bit is very volcanic, so it's a bit close to the airport. So I'm hoping it doesn't spread when I'm due to be going there in a couple of months. Right, Mark has a hard stop at 8, and I think probably anybody that's watching probably doesn't want to spend longer than an hour with us lot in the run up to Christmas. So we do an annual end of year little blog piece where we all sort of say what we've enjoyed doing in the year, and some people extend it and talk a little bit about next year. So we thought we would do a bonus episode, or actually a catch-up episode, because we haven't done an episode of Eyes and Ears for a while, just to add to that, to talk a wee bit about what we've been doing. So I'm gonna I thought there might be a few more, so I was expecting herding cats, but actually the three of us works quite well. So I'm going to start off with Lee, because I didn't get to read Lee's bit on the blog because he was still writing it when I wrote mine. So
I was massively behind
Mark's
schedule.
I've read, you see. So Lee's is going to be a surprise. So we're going to start with you, Lee. What have you done this year?
Bugger all. No, so I mean, I did that. I was doing a commission which took up most of the year because more and more got added to said commission. So I then realised I don't like commission painting because I'm painting somebody else's stuff and not getting my own stuff done. So, but apart from that, got some helicopters painted, got the hips done. That's the start of the year for Red Dawn. I got some Lav 25s painted up recently, formation of those.
Yeah, and they've been on the blog, haven't they? They look really nice.
They've been on, yeah, they've been on their Facebook. I need to write an article about them at some point. My change of allegiance actually allowing Australians to be in Team Yankee all of a sudden.
Well, I was going to gloss over that particular issue for me, but they look that's why I said they were beautifully painted.
I picked up a whole bunch of half tracks because Quinton Taylor, one of my Canadian patrons, was over, couldn't get his army over in time and asked if he could borrow some stuff, which I could do, apart from I realized he wanted half tracks. I didn't have any, I never ever really got around to painting my half tracks. So this was a good chance to actually get a couple of platoons of half tracks done and some flamethrower half tracks. And then some various other bits as well. We did some Horus Heresy stuff for 30k and something else. Can't remember what else. Oh, it's some tiny cheap 10mm chieftains, my dad, for his model railway. He wanted some on the flatbeds.
Is it Engage? 10mm Engage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff he bought way back when he was a postie in Germany, and he actually finally got around doing something with it about 40 years later. So
yeah, I've got a whole 00 Hornby layout in a box in the attic, waiting for me to ever get round to doing the attic up so I can put it to run round there.
classic
and then I keep
yeah.
thinking maybe I should just go Engage because it's smaller and it's a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
And then the thought of having to buy everything again in Engage is just like, no, maybe I'll just wait.
Yeah, just stick with what you got. Yeah.
Yeah. Mark, what about you?
I, in typical fashion, struggle to remember what I have painted.
Shall we give you a hint? Volksturm.
Well, we'll come to the Volksturm. I think at the beginning of the year, I was on with the Brits, so I painted a load of comets. I have the sextons and archers, and I think something shiny took my attention away from it, so they haven't been finished. But then I moved on. Well, I started preparing for the ETC, so I did a whole winter Stalingrad urban. There's a theme here for urban coming. Urban infantry force, and then all the KVs and Stuarts and everything else that went with it. So that took up a load of my time. And then I think overall it's been obviously Flames of War hasn't had a huge number of releases this year. And because I kind of already done a lot of things that I wanted to do, it's been somewhat quiet. But I did take on, as you said, a personal challenge to paint an army which has no reserves. So I have painted, and it's done now. I've painted 5 platoons of Volksturm, obviously with HQ, 2 sets of mortars, 2 sets of 7.5 centimeter guns, 2 sets of HMGs, which when you add them all together comes to about 40 points. So I've got the King Tigers to go with them, and in fact they're just sitting here. I've just finished, if anyone can see that, 4 of those lovely railway guns. So they just need a varnish. Those are my last Flames of War models of the year. But outside of that, gosh, I've been drawn away with other stuff as well. I did a load of Kill Team, did the whole boarding action stuff on there. The actual, I suppose, officially the last model I've painted of the year is Epic and Legions, and these tiny little people that go with my Titan that you can't even see on the TV because tiny is better, obviously. Title of my sex tape. Before you say it.
I was going to say there are so many jokes there. I mean, we could do another 50 minutes just with all the jokes.
Exactly.
From that one giveaway.
Exactly. So I found this year painting so much infantry that I've had to have palette cleanses. So I go off and paint something futuristic and use actual varied colours, and then come back to my World War II drab. But yeah, I struggle to remember. I've kicked so much stuff out. Oh yeah, my other actually historic thing, which will Lee will be happy because it's fluffy and historical. Was I did Bravo November, the Chinook. So I got custom. A really nice chap made some custom decals up for me because I flown on Bravo November, and my brother used to fly it on 18 Squadron. So I got those made up, and then actually my warrant officer's got it at the moment. So I gave it to him because he had done a tour out in Afghan with it. So I've got another one sitting in a box I need to paint up for myself next year. So I've got one as well. And that's it. I'm looking up at my little shelf. I've just remembered I did the whole Red Dawn thing. So we put it up on the YouTube channel. So I painted up the Wolverines and the Red Dawn boxes, and then did the little campaign on the video. So that's quite cool. So I've got 100 points of the VDV stuff ready to go, but then we also did it. In fact, it was Richard and I. We did some 50mm Northag with it as well, just to mix the rule sets up a bit, which was good fun.
See, it's always good fun to come down and see you. I'm just not at all convinced by Northag. I'm definitely going down the 7 days to the River Rhine route. We'll
try that next.
Or is it? Yeah, I've just sent a copy to. I've just sent a copy to something. Yeah, I've just sent a copy to Alex in Alaska, and he's been bombarding me with lists. So obviously there's hi Alex. Good.
Who's Alex in Alaska?
He's in Alaska. Yeah, he's gone to Alaska for his wife's working up there, I think. So
he's been Nevada.
Yeah.
But Alex from the team in the States.
Oh, that Alex. Right, it's Alaska that threw
not me. Alex Hamilton. He never goes further than Northampton.
Context.
Yeah, sorry. Well, Alex knows who I'm talking to.
Hello, Alex.
You probably know that I haven't, who I'm talking to, because Alex Hamilton knows I haven't sent him a copy of 7 Days.
If you suss out how mortars work in that game, and let me know, because the one back I can never get my head around.
We're still trying to work out how mortars work in Northag, and they seem to go all over the show.
I've worked. It's not that hard. It worked really well.
They work for you. They don't seem to work for me.
Don't blame your dice. Just saying.
So I was trying to remember when I was writing my bit, whether Red Dawn was this year or last year, and I think it was just
last year.
It was last year. It was just this year that I got around to painting it.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I did a bit of Red Dawn. I'm trying to think if I've painted any World War II stuff at all, and I can't think that I have. All of the competitions that I've done, and we'll come on to what we've been doing that way in a bit. I don't think I've needed to add anything. I think I've kind of used ready-made lists. So my painting has been finished. I did all the Red Dawn. In fact, I'm still finishing the Red Dawn and the objectives and the frog and all the rest of it. And they're just green for me. I can't be bothered with 3 colour. And then I did the fins, So I got some Zvezda T72s and some Zvezda Carnations and painted them up. And Lud very kindly sent me some proper. I'd been to Parallel earlier in the year as well and got some photos, and the Battlefront colours looked a bit off to me, and a couple of the Finnish guys helped me out with getting the colours right. So I was quite happy with those actually. And then Swedes, I've been doing Swedes. So yeah, I'm nearly done. All the tanks are done. I'm just doing the sort of APCs and the little Jeep things. So that's been my painting. And then what have I done? I painted a little bit for Saga. So I got a new warlord for my Vikings. So I've got Odin as a Viking warlord, and I bought a couple of wolves and put them on the base. So I was quite happy with that. Actually, it was probably one of the nicest bits of painting I've done. And then I've just got acres of plastic for there's been a bit of a breakthrough at my local club where it's largely been bolt action and Games Workshop stuff. But a few guys have been branching out into not just into Saga, but into some of the Osprey rule sets. So Lion Rampant and Pikeman's Lament. So I mean that's all ancient stuff, so it's good. I can't get them to think about doing it in 15mm though, to use all of the ancient armies I've got on the shelves. So I bought
Sorry, there's a game called Lying Rampant.
Lion Rampant.
Oh, Lion Rampant.
Lion Rampant. It's a heraldic term, Mark. You should look it up. So yeah, I've got some sort of Spanish figures for that I found from Pat in 28mm. So I'm looking forward to having a go at those. And then I remembered that I painted something else, and now I can't remember what it was, which is an indication that I'm getting old. There's definitely something that I remember painting, and it's completely gone. It'll come back to me while we move on and talk about other stuff that we've done that's not painting. So Lee, competition wise, tournament wise, visits.
What?
You've been down at the barn a couple of times. I know
I
that.
have, yeah.
Just before you start, he's been down at the barn with Surin, who's watching this call rather than being on it. So the link's in the chat, mate. If you want to come along and tell us what you've been doing too, rather than just watching the three of us talk bollocks for an hour. Anyway, Lee.
Yeah, so competition wise, I was maybe going to Warfare, and that fell through because work wanted me out for something, and I had to fly out on the weekend, which then completely scuppered the plan of going Warfare. It would be that week. Barn, yeah, we did some big games at Barn. We did a big Team Yankee game at the start of the year. I think it was February or March. Had a whole bunch of everyone just bought all their stuff from the table and ran at each other basically at high speed. Found out that M1A1 heavy armor versions are very hard to beat from the front. We then did our traditional D-Day game in June, and that was quite fun. And we did the big Italian day. So we had Dave and Soren come over and join Eddie, myself, and Nathan in the barn. We played some Italian themed games, which was quite nice. Yeah, it's really good. If Battlefront should really get round to releasing a book for it or something. Yeah, and obviously we've done some smaller games as well. It's been a bit hard for games this year. I've been very busy with work and stuff, so I have not been getting my traditional one game a week I normally get. I'm lucky to get one game a month some months. But yeah, once I have been getting it, it's been good fun.
Yeah, it's terrible this working thing, isn't it? It just gets
Yeah.
in the way of all of the stuff that we want to do. Mark, you're a tournament organizer as well as a tournament player. So what have you been doing?
Well, my world has opened up a bit since the boys' second year, the twins. So I've been allowed out a bit more, which has been helpful. So I went to co-rivalry in February, and then somehow went from I'll help with the draw to kind of running it on the day for Hammy. Thanks, Hammy. Which was embarrassing because I also won it, which was a little bit awkward.
Oh, see, and all that shit you give me about winning my own competitions.
I know, but that was a bit of a highlight. It's always been like that little thing I wanted to do was, for those who don't know, co-rivalry was traditionally that and nationals were the two big UK events. They're not as big now as they used to be, but building back. So I was really pleased to take that one away. As I announced, it's time to retire because it can only be down from there. And then ETC in the summer, that was awesome. First time playing for Team England, which was great, under Graham Wilmot as captain. So we're going back next year as well. And took there the Soviet Hero Moto rifles with the traditional KBs, which obviously we won't be doing now with the dynamic points and everything's changed. So I've got to work that out, ready for mid-war again, which is good. And then organised nationals, which happened in September. That was really good. And in fact, Martin Turner, our own Martin Turner, he walked away and won that one with a fantastically painted Hungarian army, including cavalry, which was nice to see. In typical fashion, Martin managed to win, as he always does, manages to win events with lists everyone looks at and goes, "That's ridiculous. You're never going to get anywhere with that." But he always does.
Hold that thought.
Yeah, he always does it.
It seems like a player is more important than a list or something, like some sort of
crazy.
crazy, what crazy rule system would that be?
It's like people who take chaffies to competitions.
Yeah, exactly. And then I haven't got. I mean, general gaming, I haven't got that much in this year. There's not a huge number of. There's some Flames War players kind of like an hour or so away. There's no one really local. And my bait I normally play has been quite busy. With work, that word again. So the ironic thing is I only played my ETC list. I think I had 5 games with it before going, and all of those were when I flew down to meet the team down near London for a practice weekend. So
practice weekends and games before you turn up with a list. That never happens on any of the teams I play on.
Well, yeah, but you might have also used the list before, but it worked. So I was happy with that. That was my. I managed. So England came 5th, I think 5th out of, I want to say 8, was it 18 teams, Richard?
20
teams. And then somehow I managed to pull 4th on points as well, which was pretty happy with. It was a good list.
Yeah, you submarined a bit, didn't you, as England, because you didn't have a great first day.
We did a bit of hunt for the Red October, and then I found out afterwards that Eddie admitted he was throwing me under the bus. So I, with matchup, so I showed him. There you go, Eddie, if you're listening. I'll get you next year.
So, yeah, anything since ETC?
Well, yeah, just really running nationals, painting. But no, I wanted to go to Warfare. It's just too far from up in Northumberland. So, and then
that guys come from Canada. It's like.
Yeah, for nationals, but yeah,
no, for Warfare.
Oh, do they? All right. Well, I have no idea why. It's and there was the whole palaver about Warfare. I think it went well in the end, but there was a whole back and forth.
Really good, actually. Warfare, good photos I saw.
Clocks and all sorts, and then I think it all quite calmed down. But Eddie's going to run it next year, isn't he? So
so he ended up running it this year, basically, because the guy fell ill.
Oh, he did last minute, didn't he? I mean, I might need to see. I don't know. It's Farnborough again, isn't it, next year?
Yeah.
Whether I can fly down to maybe Southampton or something and meet up with someone, or maybe I can fly down to London, and if Graham's coming down, he can
get your biz jet fly Farnborough
in France.
You're sorry? France.
So I think it was Lee. What did you say, Lee?
I said, get in the old biz jet and fly straight to Farnborough. It's what it's fair for.
Oh yeah, I've just got the little business jet lying around.
Yeah, he's lacking a runway where he works, though, isn't he?
I know. We used to have helicopters, and they left. So that's pesky.
So with me, it was. I've actually played more Battlefront stuff this year than I think I've done in a really long time. I've also remembered what it was that I painted. I actually painted a Finnish army for Bolt Action and took it to my. Yeah, well, I bought what I thought were some more Russians, and I came home from being in Finland and found that they were Finns. And I thought, well, that's somebody trying to tell you something, Richard. You should paint them up as Finns. So I religiously painted them up as Finns, historically accurate, all the rest of it. Took them to a Bolt Action competition, and then remembered why I've been steering clear of Bolt Action for quite a long time. I am fed up of. Let me put it this way: that might be the reason why I've played more Flames of War and Team Yankee this year, because I've realised that while some people get on my nose with unhistoric lists in Team Flames of War, it's nothing compared to Bolt Action and the complete lunacy that exists in list selection for that. So I started up. I played Team Yankee in Sean Carolyn, who it's been around the scene for quite a long time. Set up a UK Team Yankee team championship. So there was no Team Scotland, strangely enough. So as I was playing for Team Northern Ireland in the Flames of War (ETC), I got asked to play for Northern Ireland in the Team Yankee competition, and we went down to Cardiff and we won it. So that was really good. Really enjoyed it. There was some brand new, lots of new players, which was really good to see. Pretty much all of the guys that came over from it was sort of the UK Championship as the UK was in 1922, because we had a team from the Republic of Ireland who came over, but all new players, and it was really good to see, and I know that Sean's wanting to grow that scene, kind of using Firestorm games as a hub. So unfortunately, I can't go down and play with the guys next year, because I'm going to be in Iceland, playing in Iceland. But that was really good fun. Went to the Finnish Nationals, which Luda had organised. Ticked the bucket list because I got to go to Parola, to the Tank Museum, which is fantastic. It was doubly fantastic for me because I've got an armoured train, so I get to tick 2 boxes of geekery. And just a plug for some of the guys in Finland, they actually run a Team Yankee competition where the tables are set up in between the tanks at Parola. And I noticed some of the Belgian guys done something similar at the Belgian Tank Museum. So there's some really innovative approaches to competitions and getting into places that are quite iconic from a military history perspective. So
There's a US tournament that plays on the deck of, I want to say USS Midway. Was it one of those World War II era aircraft carriers?
Fantastic.
Quite,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, to be brutally honest, I wouldn't want to play outside Parola in January unless you were, had very thick gloves, might make it moving around difficult. So there was we got an Airbnb in Finland and went to ice hockey, which is another big thing for me. And so that was me and Søren and Morten and Petter from Sweden. So that was really good fun. Took a historic list. Squished everybody on the first day, and then reality hit on day 2. So it was not. I think I finished 5th or 6th, so that was fine with a nice historic finish list. Went across to Belfast to play one of Scott's competitions. So I don't know if Scott's watching. That was great. Took Romanian lists. Did okay there. Went to the ETC. I think we got some things that we got wrong. I took a list that really shouldn't have been a defense list. And so I didn't quite enjoy the ETC as much as I enjoyed. It was great to see everybody. So we're going back as Team Iceland next year. So really looking forward to that. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was in Madrid, playing in the Spanish Nationals, and I took the approximation of La Nueve, which used to be a PDF list in version 3, and which I used in Salamanca at the ETC. So I got quite a few people who were quite happy that I'd taken over Republic in Spanish to Madrid. Did okay with it, finished 11th. Søren came 2nd. Again, there was Søren and Morten and me went over for that. And Søren should have won Best Painted, but unfortunately they did only one prize rule, so because he'd come 2nd with his Chaffies. And he also went to Milan and played with one of the competitions there with Chaffies and came 2nd to the same person, to Etienne Dufour, who's been using a Sherman list, which he won the 2 competitions with. So yeah, it's been fun. I definitely enjoyed playing more than I've probably done in quite a long time. For a wee while, it's been more about catching up with mates, and this year has been really great because I've been able to catch up with mates and actually quite enjoyed playing a little bit. And I'm really kind of looking forward to looking at what early war looks like in the new year, because that's always been my favorite. I know it's very Marmite. Some people love it and some people don't, but it's always been my favorite period. So kind of looking forward to that. So maybe I've got my mojo back a little bit after 5 years of being depressed about the death of version 3. Yeah, that was my year. And I've done a bit. I tried to make a conscious effort to go out on a Friday. My local club meets 6 till 9 on a Friday, just because work has been pretty full on this year. But I mostly did bolt action, and I think it has got some nice mechanisms, and some of the armies at our club are absolutely beautifully painted. But if I see another Stuart with the sponsored machine guns or another BA-10 with a flamethrower, I may go slightly insane. Because it's a bit like L6s at the ETC. There's definitely more of them on the model table than were ever made. Quite looking forward to trying out some ancients again next year. So I've done my kind of what am I looking forward to next year, which is early war. Mark, what about you?
Well, equally, yeah, early war. I can't comment too much on that, but early war is coming, and I have a good feeling about it. I think I can say that. So yeah, at some point, I think, well, unless the video is about to drop and it's all been delayed, but I think we'll see that next year. So yeah, I really want to get into that. Obviously, I'd like to have something that pushes me towards it, as well as just collecting. And we know at the moment there's an agreement ETC 25 is going to be early war, as long as it's released in a reasonable time next year. So it's kind of getting to grips with that, getting stuff painted up, seeing what's happening there. And then it's difficult because Phase War is in that difficult position, isn't it? I'm not a big Team Yankee player, which obviously has, it can go off and do different things and develop. It can do Checkpoint Charlie, it could move to Asia or whatever. The war, Italian book, I still think there's room for that in late war, or some sort of Italian entry. I think dynamic points. I really like the dynamic points, and I like what they've done this year. It's I think though there's not as much mid-war this year, and it depends where you are and what your group is. Our tournaments tend to be driven quite a bit by what the ETC that year is, and we alternate nationals alongside that as well. So nationals is late war this year, so I'm not sure I'm going to have that much opportunity to use dynamic points this year. But then obviously that will continue to develop, and I think it'll be bigger going forward. But I do want to paint up a Sherman Desert Company, a kind of mid-war, and actually, I think medium armor is really much more viable now, and I'm looking forward to painting up some Panzer Force as well and seeing how that kind of performs, and actually getting some tanks on the table, because I think it's done it right. And even though they haven't had a huge points drop, the other stuff that's changed, I think the light spam, I think, actually makes medium armor a really cool choice now, as it should be. I can't. There's nothing else I get hugely excited for. I am not on board with late war Leviathans. It does not float my boat whatsoever. And I know that's coming around the corner. Hey, if that's your thing, great, but not for me. So yeah.
Sorry, Mark.
I mean,
can you just say that again? Because I don't know if it chopped for everybody else, but you just kind of got a little bit Norman Collier.
Oh right, I was just saying. So late war Leviathans next year.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't really float my boat.
So World of Tanks for late war, right?
World of Tanks for late war. No, I don't think I'll be going near that one. And then, I'm hoping there'll be some surprises in the video, because obviously early war's coming, but Pacific, whether that'll be next year, I don't know. So it's kind of where's Battlefront going to go? Is the big thing, which is late war's now done. Who knows? Are we going to see a version 5, version 4.5, whatever? Are they going to mix it up? I think there's a lot of excitement for what's going to happen next year. What's Battlefront's vision? Now that their big money maker has come to an end, i.e. late war. Where do we go? What do we do? Because last time we reached this point, it was a little bit after that, to be fair. Obviously we changed version. So we wait with bated breath. I think it's only a few hours. We're recording this on the 20th, and I think it's later on tonight we get the video. So we look forward to it.
Lee, what are you looking forward to?
So obviously Italy, as I already mentioned, we're hoping it's going to appear this year. There's something for it, we know, but when it appears, is anyone's guess. I'm curious to see what they could do with Team Yankee next. I can think I've had various guesses at what they might do, like say a Southern Front book dealing with East Italy, Greece, Turkey, because they all use leopards. That's an easy one to do. Or like or as Mark was saying, look at Pacific. You can do a lot with that theatre. Um, Obviously, we know Pete's always had his big thing about doing the Bush Wars as well, and you've got the Centurion kit you can modify for the Oliphant. So yeah, there's also lots of things they can still do with that. And I expect, probably. I mean, Oil Wars also is the only version 1 book that hasn't been updated. So that seems like a no-brainer to come to a version 2 standard and flesh out the Syrians, add in like Macabre and Mark III for the Israelis, that kind of good stuff. Like Mark, I can't say I'm terribly excited about Label All the Leviathans. Um, if you if it was like a 1946 book with at least some sort of background or something like that, and like doing Operation Unthinkable or something like that, I might be able to get a little bit excited about it. But just lumping it into current late war version 4 is just not going to be something I'm up for. Early war, I can get. So I was halfway through doing a free RTR in Calais army, then the BEF got nerfed, and I kind of put it one side and never went back to it. So I might dust that back off and get the old A13s and the A10s or any smoke rounds done up. So
I've got one.
yeah. Obviously, I already had Honey Stewart's doing the Desert War as well, so I've got those all ready to go. So yeah, there's lots of things I can see right now without really knowing. Only knowing the speculation, not knowing the facts of what's coming out. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to latch on to beyond, like say, Early War Desert, which has always been a little bit of a fling for me. I quite enjoy, but we shall see. But
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
also hoping. Sorry,
go on, sorry, Lee.
I'm also hoping. Although I can't say I give two figs about tanks as a game. Looking at their release schedule, it does give me some hope we might see Checkpoint Charlie because most of the main battle tanks, like the M48A5, obviously Centurion we already have, IS-3s, that kind of good stuff is coming in some form in for that game. Conquerors, M16s. There's all that stuff, always building blocks there you could use for doing a 1960s Team Yankee game. So I'm
Yeah,
hoping that's
I
what
think
we'll
there's
see.
T10s in the game as well, isn't it? Which is the
Hmm.
last Soviet heavy tank. So yeah, I mean, I really am looking forward to Early War. I mean, actually, the first version 4 game that Mark and I ever played, I think, was I took some stuff down to Mark's house before you moved, so it's quite a long time ago, and we did you used the armored train, the Russian armored train against actually third Royal Tank, third RTR Brits.
Yeah.
And we wrote it up for the blog. So that was one of the first things I wrote up for the blog when I joined. So yeah, Early War for me. I think the whole idea of Late War Leviathans kind of just like mid-war monsters. Unless there was a reality to it, I'm not interested in it. I think there's other things that they could. I understand, and I completely understand the demographic. 100. I think Martin said on our little Facebook Messenger chat, 100 and something million players, or 1.1 million, or however many it is, World of Tanks players around the world. And even if 1% of them are playing, it sounds like a bit like the Father Ted bit where they say there's 10 million priests in the world, and if only. I can understand why that's more of a demographic than the people who want to play Korea or Spanish Civil War or Indochina. But all the stuff's there for those, and it wouldn't take much to add them as a PDF or a small booklet, because they already do the Chaffee and they already do Centurions and T-34-85s and SU-76s and stuff, which is much more interesting to me than Late War Leviathans. I really would be interested in Checkpoint Charlie. I think that would be really good. There's some comments in the chat on the YouTube channel about Fate of a Nation, which we never really talk about Fate of a Nation because I'm not sure that any of us play it. Do you play it? Because I had Jordanians and I've turned them into Swedes because I was just never going to play them. And
I'm kind of hoping, obviously, with their re-released the Great War and Narm. Fate of the Nation gets its re-release.
Yeah.
Obviously got Plastic Centurion. I was midway through doing a Israeli Centurion for that. So
Yeah, I mean, Great War. I've got some Great War stuff, and I actually do have both sides for Great War because I don't mind playing Kaiser Germans. I can pretend they're Austrians. So I might have a dabble at that. I've got a painting project I want to run. It's been at the back of my mind to write it as a blog piece. It's sort of historical, one of my historical pieces in relation to the Great War. So I'll probably dust that off. Might even start that over Christmas, depending on how the football results go. So yeah, part of me wonders whether the whole reboot of anything in the Middle East might be a little bit delayed, or whether whether Pete just doesn't care who he upsets. Maybe we might have to wait for Fate of a Nation and Oil Wars. Bush War stuff, absolutely, Lee. I think he mentioned that to Mark and I and a load of other people at the Open Day a number of years ago in Nottingham. And of course now they do the T62 as well. They've got the Cuban lists there. A goodly number of years have passed, so that moves into the sense of history rather than trying to be anything other than that. And actually, that would be quite fun, I think. You don't have to do much in terms of that. A South African list and some Rattels maybe. So yeah, there's some interesting stuff. I'm kind of hoping if they did a Southern Front NATO book, maybe Turkey, Italy, Greece, they might do Warsaw Pact Marines. They're definitely mentioned in the Baltic book, and I think that would gives the non-Soviet players something a bit different than tanks and motor rifles, because obviously you'd have Poles. I can't quite remember if the Volks army had Marines or not, but certainly the Polish Marines would be in there, and I think that's kind of an interesting take on it. Maybe bring some of the Southern Warsaw Pact in as well. So yeah, I mean, let's see what the video brings. Gaming wise, I shall be in Poland for the ETC alongside Mark. I'm going to Iceland in February. One day I will get there in the summer to play in the Icelandic Nationals.
You hope you'll be getting there in February.
Again?
You
won't be getting there in February. Well, I'm hoping, yeah, unless the lava has overrun the runway at Keflavik, and then I'll be getting a boat. Søren and I are looking at playing in a doubles pairs tournament in Switzerland in June. And I've promised Morton I'll go to PlyceCon to do. He does a really great historical based thing. I couldn't go this year because we were in Madrid, but I promised him I will go over. He's been on to the vlog and talked about it, and it's something I've been saying I would do for a while. So it'd be good to go over to Denmark and see some friends over there as well. So yeah, kind of looking forward to it. Actually, I'm not the most excitable of people, but I am quite looking forward to early war. You keep looking like you're putting your hand up to speak, but you must be pushing something in the Lee pod, are you?
Yeah, just my mic. It's all right.
All right, because Lee keeps doing this, and he's either got a secret disco going on. Oh, okay, cool.
I was just messaging Søren on why is he lurking in the comments. I was quite chuckling at
he's come out.
How was he? I was chuckling at Scott, just good old Scott, late war Leviathans. Just get in the bin.
Absolutely. See, the thing is with Scott, my work is done.
Oh yeah, sorry. 3's the right number. 2's too little. 4's too much.
So well done, mate. Absolutely top class. That's a little bit of an in joke. So well done for getting that into the conversation.
Are we talking about strength of units?
For the Pacific Theatre, I thought the Pacific Theatre didn't get a very good crack of the whip in V3 because it came out and then 6 months later they just sort of whipped the whole V3 thing out from underneath.
Yeah.
The point system is all a bit, but maybe it'll work better with 100 points. I don't know. you've still got
Nothing
that
works
issue that
better
a
with
Sherman
100
is just
points, Richard.
so much better than. But the problem is that a Sherman is just so much better than anything that it's up against.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you balance that out? I think is that. And I thought the innovative way they had the 2-point systems, I thought that was kind of a way forward. I started building a list, because it had dogs in it with the M3 flamethrowers and things, and I never got a chance to use it. I was kind of hoping that I'd get an opportunity to use my, get some Matildas and use them as frogs.
So this is what worries me a little bit. Maybe not so much specific because that's a big part of history, but it's this talk, I want to do Bish Wars and things like this, and you're like, you can't keep the stock for the main game at the moment. Wonderful, really interesting part of history, Bush Wars and stuff, but you're like, it's a niche within a niche. And it's like, I think it's all right for us. We've all got large collections of models. We've done it for years. But if you're quite new and you're trying to I just want to get some Desert Rat infantry because I want to play mid-war. Oh, well, maybe in 2024 you can get some.
It amused me when they re-released the free, obviously the Free Nations stuff. They put all that, and you couldn't get. They didn't actually restock any of the Australian infantry. You can't get Australian infantry for love nor money. So why would you not have them in place when you actually do a re-release of the book?
Yep. And all it does is it hurts them. Like, I suppose it's really difficult from a company point of view because you want
small
to
company,
keep
right? We've got
releasing
to
new
always
things.
remember it's a really small company.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But
if you want to have that huge range and you can't keep it stocked, then you're just going to encourage people to go off and obviously they don't want people to go and get 3D prints and things like that. Some people will 3D print whatever, but a lot of people will be, if I can't buy the models, well, I want to play the game. So it's kind of they haven't really got a choice, and that's what worries me a lot. Whether we'll actually see things like Bush Wars and things, I think it's very much something they want to do, but whether that's a really viable thing when
I think the problem with that is that there are companies established already with ranges of those figures who, if Battlefront bring it out and then, as Lee says, it's a 3-month, a bit like the Swedes, actually, the book came out and you couldn't get the stuff for 2 or 3 months later, is people might buy the book and go and, I mean, it's not a problem for me because that's how I grew up wargaming, right? You bought a book from one place, you bought figures from here, there, and everywhere, and you made an army. And that's not the modern day business model, right? And I can fulminate about that all I like. It ain't going to change. But thinking about Peter Pig and people like that already do Bush Wars figures, and you go, well, you bring a book out, and everybody just goes, well, I'll go and buy their stuff. So yeah, I mean, I always think we're almost talking ourselves into another episode in the new year when the video's out about where we'd think, and it would definitely be just an opinion piece again about where we think they're going to go, because can you try and sell another set of Shermans to another set of gamers based around version 5 when you've already done it once or twice, and how many new gamers are going to come in that you haven't already lured across from
you can always go to $4 a list in Flames of War, Forces of War.
Say again?
But it's all right because you've always got options, because you can always go to $4 a list in Forces
See, now
of War.
it's usually me that gets on Pete's bad side, so I'm quite glad that someone else is going to do it for a change. I'm trying to be quite positive about them tonight. It's difficult to see, isn't it? I mean, we've only got a quarter of an hour left, so maybe we should sort of flag this up that we'll do it as another chat, because I think there's I think they've missed a trick in not going for a totally different period that doesn't have tanks in it. And I know they played with the idea a few years ago, but now they're so far behind the 8 ball with what Warlord and others have done that I think it's quite difficult for them to break back into that space now. So they've kind of got themselves in this, 21st century, not even 21st century, so 20th century system. And there's only so many times you can reboot that, surely. I'm happy to be wrong, but that's I think that's maybe the next chat in the new year. Where do we think they go next? What they think they can do? Not that Pete has any reason to listen to us 3 grumpy old gits, or 1 grumpy old git and 2 less grumpy, less old people. But for me, I've played more this year than I've played in a long time, and it's been quite good fun. It hasn't just been about moving some figures around so I can spend time with friends. It's been spending time with friends and quite enjoying playing the game. And I'll probably get better at using American Armored Infantry than I was in Spain, because I was still using it like V3 and forgot that you can do all sorts of different things with it.
You'd make a great reviewer, like kind of Flames of War TripAdvisor. It was okay. I didn't not enjoy it.
Well, I really, I mean, I did really enjoy being in Madrid. I was in one of my favorite cities with some really, really good friends. So, other than the fact that we were still gaming at 9 o'clock at night because of the Spaniards' tendency to eat late. So, that's like nearly my bedtime now. I'm nearly retired. And I'm like, Jesus fucking quarter 9, we're still playing. Yeah, that was not the best bit, but it is a great city, and the games were good, and it was good to spend time with mates. So long may that continue, whatever the rule system is that we end up playing. But yeah, but early war for me. So we'll have to definitely put some early war stuff in the diary for this next year. But maybe a chat around where we go from here, or where we think things would be, because I that point you make about not being able to keep stock for stuff means I think some of your niche projects just don't go anywhere, do they? Or you have to accept that what you were going to do is you're going to bring out a book, you're going to get some sales from a book, but actually that's pretty much it. That people will print or people will buy from other people, but what you're doing is bringing people in to the core part of the game by giving them something to play that maybe they wouldn't have played World War II, but they might play Bush Wars. But yeah, doesn't cost book publishing doesn't cost you that much, though, to be fair.
It's not where the money is for them, though.
No, but does everything, sorry to do this because you and I can have this political discussion somewhere else, does everything have to be about making profit?
When you're a company, yes.
Well, some companies understand the concept of lost lead, and some companies understand the concept of, break-even points and doing things that don't necessarily net you a vast amount of money. It's not like if Battlefront it's not like if Battlefront doesn't return 5, 10, 8, 15, however many percentage it does, Pete's going to be on his uppers, is he? I mean, he's got quite a lucrative business.
I think when you're coming to the end of a version, and as you say, you now need to convince everyone to buy Shermans again. Everyone needs to be, that company will need to be very alive to what releases needs to sell.
I just worry about how many times you can sell Shermans to, I mean,
I reckon maybe we'll go back to resin. We've done plastic, and now the next big thing, let's all buy resin again.
Yeah, but see, some of us never sold our resin things in the first place because we're too tight to buy it again. So, yeah, I think this is something that we could really dig down into and have a longer chat. Lee, have you got any events planned for next year?
Nothing planned. Probably Warfare. I'm hoping to go to a few of the one-day tournaments that the Tabletop Republic are doing in High Wycombe.
Okay.
And Eddie's been threatening to do some sort of tournament, Dice Saloon. So we shall see. Probably a few, like little one.
Nationals?
Probably not. Probably not my scene, I don't think. Warfare's probably about as close to the scene as I get when it comes to that regard. But yeah, we'll probably see Warfare. I can see that happening. Well, they get sent to some part of the world with work. So
at least you're going to send to the Falklands twice in a year, Lee. I've got to stop upsetting people.
No, I've already got that customer. I don't need to go to Falklands anymore.
Oh, yes, you're going down there again, aren't you?
I'm back.
I thought you were going. Is that not the reason why you can't come to Finland, or is that just you're not allowed out?
Finland,
Iceland.
No, I might be.
Or am I giving away state secrets?
I might be in America for that one.
All right, okay. Apparently, there's somebody's told me that somebody's advertising as Scottish nationals at Falkirk. So don't know who's all. Don't know.
Oh, I know they're planning to do one. I didn't know it was advertised, but then I thought it was. I thought it was going to be at Stirling.
No, Nightly Games, which is the one in you and I discussed in Stirling.
Hang on, I'm going to go on their Discord and have a look.
So Nightly Games is a really impressive venue, right? So I sound like I'm on the sales
Where's
pitch.
Falkirk?
I've never actually set foot in the place, but the people that have been there, because it's used quite a lot for the bolt action. And my club at Dunfermline, they do a lot of bolt action, and there's some good players play out of there. It looks like a really impressive venue. So who knows if there's enough people turn up to a Scottish Nationals, I might even consider doing something Team Yankee-ish maybe next year. Seeing how that picks up. Maybe something more along the lines of what Morton does in at Clyscon and Osterkoff, which is more historically based. Maybe doing something that's a bit more thematic than just turn up with your points. I mean, I've got enough stuff to run about 7 or 8 armies anyway, so you could do that. And we could do it that way. I'm still.
There's nothing on the Discord.
Oh, somebody sent me a link. I suspect it was Mr. Peterson, who's lurking. And
well, send me it, and then we'll get it on the list for Soren. But I'll come up for a Scottish. When was it? Do you know?
No, I've no idea. All I saw was it being advertised. So I mean, I don't want anybody to take offence at this, but we have had issues with people travelling and saying they're going to come and then not coming and stuff. So, but I understand there was a fair few, 4 or 5 people came down.
Yeah, people came down for Nationals. And in fact, the first ticket sold for Nationals 24 was to one of the Scots.
Okay.
So there you go.
So yeah, that would be good.
Check this, the Englishman defending the Scots, the Scot, just clan on clan.
Yeah, you can tell from the accent, right? It's only Scottish by adoption. Yeah. Anyway, that would be good. It would be good to see something happening, and I do think it's a really good venue. And if it's a really good venue, I think there's a couple of things I've thought about doing for a couple of years to try and get people across. Actually, just even if it's just a mates thing. So that would be really, really good. Right, we're moving into Witter mode, I think, in terms of where we are. We did say we would only do an hour. So last words, Lee?
Wibble. There's the last word. Yeah, I think it's been a good year. So we're going to be doing episode 100 soon for Shooting Scoots. That's going to round our year off. So yeah, we'll see what 2024 brings for wargaming.
So I'm told it's the 10th and 11th of May. And in answer to the question, it is a wargaming competition and not another referendum. So, Mark, last words?
This is to Soren. I'm sorry I poo-pooed your chaffies. I'm big enough to admit they did well.
They did really well.
There you go.
They did really well. And they were beautifully painted, and you should have won the painting competition too in Madrid. There you go.
But guns do not have muzzle flashes like that. It did upset me, Soren. I can't. I can admit when I'm wrong, but that upset me. But I love you, really.
Yeah.
Go look at pictures of his chaffies now. I'm trying to think what.
Yeah, I don't know what's the problem. They got.
It was like when there was all the smoke trails coming off the mortars that don't leave smoke trails.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh, I see.
But no, I can't paint like Soren, so I'm only winding him up.
You're going to be pedantic. So I'm really looking forward. Actually, one of the things I'm looking forward to. Soren is producing a Berlin battle board for the Icelandic Nationals in February. So I think it's something like 5. He's done the cobbles. So I think he was 5,000. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. 5,000 cobbles he had to make on this board. So and then we had a long conversation about how long German trams were because he was making trams. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that because the last one was a piece of art.
I like that. I like kind of wargaming minutia conversation where you start saying about, I was having the same sort of thing with Mike recently about his little F111 escape capsule objective mark he was making, trying to explain how the airbags deploy out from that kind of thing. So try to work out the placement of the. It's quite fun.
To be honest, one of the few I never foresaw when I started wargaming that one of the places I would end up doing research is the Viennese Tram Museum on the wheelbases of pre 1939 German trams. But there you go. See, you learn something new every day, and it was quite fun because I didn't even know there was a tram museum in Vienna. So now I've got somewhere else to go next time I go to Vienna. So anyway, that is definitely the last word. Except to say thanks to everybody. I think there's 20 or 25 people on watching this. You've got more. You should have more sense. But have a really good Christmas, everybody, when it comes. Obviously, being from up north, going to wish you a great Hogmanay. And we will all see some of you, I think, through next year, and look forward to chatting with people again on the vlog in 2024. So look after yourselves and take care.
See you later.
Yep.
Ta-da.
Ah.